And we're back. So that's the switch. Where are we? That way. So yeah, $89 retails normally for. I got it off Ross for $70. So this is a bit of a shout out to Ross out at Strictly Ham, good bloke, and I like his shop. There's a lot of goodies in there that I could, yeah. But anyway, he's absolutely been flat out at the moment. He reckons that this COVID-19 has everyone sort of locked down and all at home, and all the hams that are out there are completely swamping him with stuff, because I guess us hams haven't had much time to play radio of late, and all of a sudden we've been given this opportunity to play radio. So not myself really, I've been busy with work, but most people that have been sort of restricted in their movements have probably picked up their hobby and found a few things that they need replacing, you know, and Ross has been run off his feet the last 2 months, he reckons. Anyway, let's check the SWR on the UHF or the 70 centimetre Yagi. So I forgot to show you on the last video, the SWR, now that the UHF 70 centimetre Yagi has gone back up the pole and is away from that pole on the cross arm. Forgot to show you the SWR, so let's have a look at the SWR now on that 70 centimetre Yagi. We'll just check our frequency, 435 megahertz, and our range, 2.5 megahertz either side. And let's go SWR. Yeah, it's pretty good. 1.2 to 1 at the highest point, and 1 to 1 at the lowest point, roughly. Let's see what frequency that is. So the lowest point is around 433 megahertz, which is the input side of the frequency of the repeaters, and the output side of the repeaters is, oh, it's a bit higher than that, but it's just over 1.2 to 1. The other thing this rig expert can do is actually give you live SWR readings. So if you're trimming an antenna, say for example you've got a mobile whip and you want to trim the antenna's SWR while it's live SWR reading, you can do that by show SWR number 7. You press number 7 and you press the OK button, and it will actually give you a live SWR reading at that frequency. And you can change the frequency if you wanted to. You can go up and down. So for example, you while it's live, you might want to go down to 433. And you just got to let it settle for about 1 second for it to refresh, because while you're changing the frequency it won't actually send out a signal and get a bounce back or reflection back. So at 433 we're 1.04 to 1, and if you want to go all the way up, so we'll go all the way up to 438 megahertz, and you watch the SWR change when I let go of the button. Yeah, so at 438 our SWR is 1.25 to 1, which is still pretty good. There's no problems with that at all. I just went out to have a look. I noticed the SWR was changing a bit there. It was going from 1.24 to 1.26, and I thought I heard a bird, and I went out there and there was a bird sitting on top of the cross arm right next to the 70 centimetre Yagi, and so the bird was causing reflections back on the SWR reading. That was interesting. I could actually see that. The other thing too is I picked up, well actually I was given this rotator, which I've got down here. I've had this rotator for over 10 years. I just haven't done anything with it. So the plan is to put the two Yagis on a beam and have them on a rotator instead of on a fixed pole. But I've just noticed, I've just powered this thing up, and I've just noticed the rotator seems to have a problem, so we're going to have a look at that. See, I'm trying to turn it one way. If I try the other way, you can hear it trying, but well, we've had a go at taking these top bolts out. This one actually broke off. They're so badly corroded, these bolts. You can see here. I did use a bit of WD-40 on them, but even in that, I hardly used any force on that. Hardly any force on that, and it just completely snapped the top of the bolt off. Anyway, I'll have to drill that out and tap and dye a new thread. Yeah, so that should be able to come off. Now I don't know if this will give me access or if this is just a top plate or a mount. Let's see what happens when I get this. Oh yeah, no, there's no access there. That's just that just sits on top there. Yeah, bolt's still stuck in there. Yeah, she's pretty corroded too. It's only just surface stuff, but hopefully the inside of the gearbox isn't too bad. So I think we've got to take these bolts out under here to get the top of the gearbox, I'm guessing, the top of the gearbox cover off. So let's have a go at the bolt here. Probably don't need to tap and dye the thread because the actual thread goes into here, because that's just a through hole. That's just a through hole there. So if I can get enough lube into the thread here, I might be able to clamp down on something and get that broken bolt off, hopefully. So we got those bolts out from under here. Alright, let's take this top cover off and see what's underneath. Ball bearings. Oh, and we're losing them. Well, make sure we don't lose any. I'll have to put them back. Probably need re-greasing. Interesting. As I said, I've never taken one of these apart. Very interesting. Just looking at the grease inside this top cover. Yeah, it's all really sticky and dried out. I have to clean that out and probably re-grease it. Do the same thing with these as well. But I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem might be the motor. So I've just taken all those ball bearings out of that top run. I've just chucked them in here. A bit of alcohol solution. And applied power. So we've got, that's got power. Now I'll say this before I turn that on because it makes a bit of a racket. I notice that the gears are still turning, so I reckon this whole mechanism is jammed up. And I'm wondering if it's because the grease is too sticky, it just can't turn. You probably have to pull this part out and have a look, which I don't really want to do, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, so the gears are turning, just the mechanism's not. So, yeah, I reckon it could be dried up grease. Without the bolts in the top plate, the top plate spins, and we get and if I put the bolts back in, I bet you it won't turn. So this mechanism here is jammed up. All right, so we've turned this upside down. I've taken the bottom plate off, and I think we found our problem. So there's actually two brakes on here, one on this side and one on this side. You can see those in there. There's two plates that, if you look here, it throws out a pin that stops the rotator from turning. Same on this side. If I turn the power on, you'll see that pin retract. Alright, but on this side the pin's not retracting. If I can show you that. So the brake is stuck on this side here. So we have to try and relieve the brake somehow and get it to unlock. Bit cold up here at Mt Baw Baw. What do you reckon, Jace?
Cold? It's bloody lovely. Not.
Freeze your balls off yet?
It's cold enough to freeze the balls off a brass smoky.
Look, there's even a bit of snow. Do you reckon I should put my drink in there to cool it down?
I do.
You already have.